What if a handful of mental habits could turn pressure into advantage and make you perform at your best when it matters most? This concise audio guide gives you practical, repeatable techniques to reframe stress, sharpen decision speed, and build a resilient mindset that thrives under uncertainty. You will learn how to convert fear into focused energy, replace reactive thinking with clear, goal-directed action, and create small pre-performance rituals that reliably elevate output. Listen carefully. Each minute hands you one tactical skill you can use immediately in real situations. By the end, you'll own a compact playbook for outperforming expectations in any circumstance. Chapter 1. Reframe the moment. Turn pressure into purpose. High-pressure moments are not failures waiting to happen. They are information-rich signals your brain can use if you stop narrating and to start reframing. The first skill is simple and immediate. When stress spikes, change the question from "Can I handle this?" to "What is useful right now?" This shifts attention from self-threat to problem-solving. Reframing is not wishful thinking. It is a deliberate cognitive operation with 3 steps. Step 1. Name the raw input: physiological arousal, tightness in the chest, a racing mind without judgment. Labeling reduces amygdala hijack because cognitive naming requires cortical engagement. Step 2. Classify the demand: performance, negotiation, conflict, or unknown, and attach a narrow task frame: decide, clarify, or buy time. Narrow frames reduce the perceived breadth of the threat and give you a clear next action. Step 3. Select a single tactical move that is easiest and highest impact in the moment. Ask a clarifying question, propose a short pause, state a number. Practice this sequence until it becomes automatic by running it in low-stakes contexts. Over time, you will condition a faster reframe reflex so that physiological symptoms trigger a deliberate question rather than panicked storytelling. A second reframing move is temporal compression. When the future feels catastrophic, ask, "What can I do in the next 90 seconds?" A 90-second horizon collapses complexity into a single micro-decision that is both manageable and powerful. The final element is narrative soonness. Anchor your internal story to an immediate purpose sentence: "I am here to find the clearest option," rather than "I must not fail." Short, purposeful sentences orient cognition and reduce catastrophic drift. Reframing is not denial. It is a disciplined mental edit that converts diffuse anxiety into a focused operational problem. Train it daily with brief simulations, 5 quick reframe runs on a minor irritation, and you will arrive at high-stakes moments with a practiced mental lever ready to convert pressure into productive focus. Chapter 2. Breathe to reset the physiology of calm under fire. Cognitive tools are critical, but they must be paired with fast physiological resets. Breath is the most reliable lever because it directly alters autonomic state and is available anywhere. The method I teach is the 4-4-8 anchor. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4, exhale for 8. Exhalation, longer than inhalation, engages the parasympathetic system and reduces heart rate variability in minutes. Use the 4-4-8 anchor whenever you notice the classic pre-performance symptoms: narrowed vision, clenched jaw, or rushed speech. Combine breath with micro-posture. Plant feet hip-width, soften shoulders, and relax the jaw during exhalation. The combined somatic cue reinforces the neural reset. For situations where you cannot pause openly during a meeting or on stage, use covert breathing. Inhale through the nose for 3 counts, and exhale through pursed lips for 6 while maintaining eye contact and a steady face. This covert pattern is subtle but physiologically effective. Train breath resets with 2 daily practices, a morning 3-minute session and a midday 2-minute anchor. Repetition builds automaticity so that in a crisis the breath sequence becomes the default brain state regulator. Beyond immediate calm, regular breath practice increases interoceptive awareness, the ability to sense internal states, which lets you detect stress earlier and apply the reset sooner. Remember, breath does not eliminate pressure but converts its energy into controlled arousal that enhances rather than derails performance. Chapter 3. Visualize execution, not outcome. Mental rehearsal that works. Visualization is not pep talk, it is pre-execution wiring. Effective mental rehearsal focuses on process cues, what you will say first, which micro-behavior signals you will use, the exact phrasing for a crucial line, rather than on winning or losing. The brain's simulation circuits respond to procedural detail. Use a 3-part rehearsal: scene, script, sensory anchor. Scene means set a vivid context, lighting, sounds, the other person's posture, so your mind can run realistic simulations. Script is a short sequence of actions: opening line, first clarifying question, 2 fallback phrases. Sensory anchor attaches a physical trigger, a hand on the table, a breath count, to mark execution. Run the rehearsal for 3 minutes immediately before the event. The sensory anchor conditions a motor plan so that when the real moment comes, you instinctively return to the scripted sequence rather than improvising under anxiety. A practical example: before a negotiation, visualize the exact opening sentence, the posture you will adopt when offering a concession, and the small pause you will take before accepting a counteroffer. Rehearse the sensory anchor, a deliberate sip of water, so that the sip becomes the cue to breathe and reset when you need to slow the exchange. Importantly, practice variations, simulate interruptions, hostile questions, and unexpected data so your brain learns to recover. Mental rehearsal that includes recovery sequences produces quicker recalibration under real pressure because the mind has already rehearsed both the script and the alternatives. Chapter 4. Decision rules. Reduce cognitive load with preset standards. In high-pressure moments, deliberation is expensive. The antidote is decision rules, simple if-then statements you adopt ahead of time to remove ambiguity and conserve cognitive energy. Good rules are short, specific, and testable. Examples: if the offer is within 5% of my target, accept; if not, request time. Or if the other party interrupts more than twice during my explanation, pause and request 1 minute to finish. Create rules for common stress contexts, negotiation, public speaking, conflict, and rehearse them. The rule acts as a cognitive anchor and reduces second guessing. When building rules, prioritize reversibility. Choose actions that are easy to undo if new information arrives. That lowers perceived risk and increases willingness to apply the rule under pressure. Evaluate rules after use and refine them based on outcomes. Over time, a library of decision rules reduces the bandwidth required for on-the-spot judgment and increases consistent performance. Chapter 5. Micro-routines for peak performance. Small rituals that signal readiness. Rituals change physiology because predictable sequences reduce uncertainty. Develop a short pre-performance micro-routine, 60 to 90 seconds, that you always use before critical moments. Elements include a breath anchor, a posture set, a micro-statement of purpose, and a sensory token. The micro-statement is one sentence that orients you, clear, concise, and curious. The sensory token can be a pen you tap twice or a wristband you touch. The routine's power is in repetition. The brain learns to associate the sequence with optimal performance states. Keep routines minimal to prevent procrastination, disguised as preparation. Use them before calls, presentations, or confrontations to create a consistent internal context that improves clarity and reduces reactivity. Chapter 6. Tactical pauses. Use time as a tool, not a threat. Silence is not absence. It is a tactical instrument. Pausing buys information, resets the interlocutor's rhythm, and allows your system to slow down. Use a deliberate pause after receiving a provocative statement. Count to 3 silently, then respond with a short, clarifying question. Pauses also convert challenging moments into controlled experiments. They let you test whether the other person will fill silence with additional useful data. Train delayed responses in low-stakes conversations so delays feel natural. Implement structured pauses in negotiations. Ask for a 5-minute break whenever stakes escalate, to reframe the interaction from emotional to procedural. Tactical pauses are simple to deploy and underused. When adopted, they shift control back to thoughtful action. Chapter 7. Emotional labeling. Name feelings to neutralize escalation. Naming what you observe in a neutral, descriptive way calms both parties and reduces escalation. Use brief labels. It seems like this timeline worries you, or I sense frustration about the budget. Labeling does not assign blame, it signals observation and opens a path for correction. Combine labeling with a short, validating follow-up. I can see why that would be stressful. Can you tell me the main consequence you're worried about? This invites specific data rather than defensive rhetoric. Practice labeling in everyday interactions to avoid making it feel performative. Effective labeling is concise, accurate, and non-judgmental, and it changes the emotional tenor, enabling clearer problem-solving. Chapter 8. Tactical questions. Ask to reveal, not to defend. High-pressure moments reward precise questions more than arguments. Learn a set of tactical probes that solicit actionable information fast. What is your main constraint? Which outcome would solve this for you? Can you show one example? These questions convert vague opposition into solvable components. Use forced choice probes to reduce ambiguity, offer 2 plausible options, and ask which they prefer. Tactical questions should be neutral, brief, and outcome-oriented. When combined with breath resets and pauses, they turn chaotic exchanges into structured information-gathering sessions. Chapter 9. Cognitive flexibility. Train the pivot, not the script. Rigidity kills performance. Build cognitive flexibility by practicing quick perspective shifts. Deliberately rehearse arguing the opposite position or reframing a problem from a different stakeholder's view for 5 minutes a day. This practice expands mental repertoires and reduces paralysis when unexpected variables appear. Flexibility also includes small procedural habits. Always have 2 fallbacks, a conservative and an ambitious option, so you can pivot quickly without improvising from zero. The aim is not to be indecisive, but to have pre-constructed alternatives that can be deployed rapidly. Chapter 10. After action. Micro-reviews. Learn fast and improve. Faster performance under pressure is a skill refined by feedback. The after-action micro-review is a 5-minute habit performed within 24 hours. Note what happened, what you did well, what surprised you, and one specific adjustment for the next event. Focus on concrete behaviors rather than character judgments. Track these notes in a simple log and review patterns weekly. The micro-review converts isolated performances into a learning curve and prevents repeated mistakes. Over weeks, the accumulation of small corrections compounds into reliably superior responses under pressure. Chapter 11. Anchoring confidence with micro-competence. Rituals. Micro-competence rituals are short, repeatable actions that create immediate experiential confidence by shifting attention from outcome to skill. The core idea is to rehearse a tiny, high-impact behavior until it becomes automatic, then deploy it at the start of a pressure event to anchor performance. Choose rituals that are observable and directly relevant to the domain. 3 clear opening sentences for a presentation, 2 slow breaths plus a brief eye scan for negotiation, a concise one-line status for crisis communication. The ritual must be compact, 10 to 30 seconds, repeatable across contexts, and tied to a measurable micro-signal, words spoken, breaths taken, or a physical touch like a finger on the ring. The mechanism works because practiced micro-skills reduce uncertainty by converting fuzzy competence into concrete motor patterns. To build micro-competence, use deliberate repetition in low-stakes situations. Practice your opening line at least 30 times in natural voice recorded on a phone. Rehearse your breathing anchor during short walks and embed the eye scan into routine meetings. Then, create an implementation plan. When X triggers, 10 minutes before a call, when you enter a meeting room, or when a contentious point arises, perform the micro-competence ritual. Pair the ritual with an immediate small feedback loop. Note one direct effect such as clearer eye contact or a steadier pitch, so you reinforce the association. Importantly, rituals should prioritize reliability over flair. A simple, steady habit that reliably produces calm and clarity is more valuable than an elaborate sequence that may collapse under pressure. Monitor the ritual's effectiveness by tracking subjective confidence and external markers. Did the audience stop interrupting? Did the counterpart pause before replying? Did your hand stop shaking? If the ritual ceases to help, adapt it, shorten it, change the sensory anchor, or pair it with a different preparatory cue. Avoid rituals that require others to perform. Don't rely on someone else's timing. Make them internally controlled. Finally, institutionalize micro-competence across contexts by teaching one small ritual to your team. Everyone uses a 2-word meeting opener and a 1-minute closing log, and use it to quickly stabilize group performance under stress. Micro-competence rituals convert performance anxiety into practiced skill, making high-pressure moments manageable through disciplined repetition rather than willpower alone. Chapter 12. The Pause and Probe. Conflict Formula. When conflict escalates, the pause and probe formula converts antagonism into data and reduces the chance of destructive reactivity. The formula contains 3 sequential moves performed with deliberate calm. Pause, physiological reset. Probe, targeted information question. And propose a narrow, testable step. Begin with a brief physical reset, a slow exhalation, and a single grounded posture shift to interrupt emotional contagion. This pause is not a rhetorical stalling. It is a physiological intervention that reduces sympathetic arousal and grants cognitive clarity. Next, the probe is a short, neutral question designed to reveal precise concerns. What specific outcome are you most worried about here? Or which part of the plan feels risky to you? Probes should avoid why accusation framing and instead elicit constraints, preferences, and underlying assumptions. Collect the answer as data without defensive response. Third, propose a narrow experiment that directly addresses the revealed concern, a 2-day pilot, a 1-question survey, or a temporary reallocation of a single resource. Chapter 13. Tactical Framing. Control the problem definition, not the outcome. Framing. The problem is the most leverage-rich move you can make under pressure because decisions follow definitions. Tactical framing involves proposing a concise reinterpretation of the situation that aligns incentives, reduces ambiguity, and opens tractable options. Good frames are short, specific, and falsifiable. They replace noisy metaphors with operational descriptions. This is a timing problem, not a scope problem, or we face a coordination failure, not a resource shortage. The process begins by quickly enumerating competing frames aloud and selecting the one that best isolates the actionable constraint. For example, if a product launch falters, test whether the issue is messaging, distribution, or quality by offering a 1-sentence frame for each and soliciting a brief vote. Once the frame lands, re-anchor decisions to it. Change metrics, alter the next step. Chapter 14. Rapid recalibration. When plans fail, fast and rebuild. Rapid recalibration is a procedural pattern for recovering when an action plan breaks. The discipline is to accept failure early, extract the minimal diagnostic data, and assemble a swiftly executable corrective plan with a bounded pilot. The sequence begins with immediate triage: what is broken, who is impacted, and what is safe to stop. These 3 questions produce a short stop list that prevents further damage. Next, extract diagnostic data via 3 quick checks. Verify the core assumptions, confirm the timeline discrepancy, and check resource alignment. Use only the minimal evidence needed to decide whether to persist, pause, or pivot. Third, design a 1-week corrective pilot with clear metrics and a small, reversible change. Alter 1 parameter rather than the entire plan. Run the pilot, gather the specified data, and decide at the end of the week to iterate or scale. The habit of failing fast reduces sunk cost fallacy and preserves morale because it replaces open-ended failure with structured learning loops. To embed recalibration, create pre-approved stop-and-test triggers that allow teams to pause without punitive questioning. These reduce the political cost of admitting error. Track the frequency and cost of pilots and the rate of successful recoveries. Aim for a higher proportion of small, early pivots rather than fewer. Late, large-scale reversals. Rapid recalibration is a cultural and procedural competency. It rewards curiosity and discipline, not perfection, and keeps organizations adaptive in volatile environments. Chapter 15. Composure scripts, words that buy time and respect. Words matter when seconds count. Composure scripts are short, neutral phrases designed to de-escalate, buy time, and preserve credibility. Examples include, "Help me understand your priority here." "Let me check 1 fact and get back in 10 minutes. Or, "I appreciate that." "Can we table the blame and look at the data?" Scripts should be practiced until deliverable with flat tone and steady cadence. delivery matters as much as content. Use scripts to convert emotional statements into operational conversations and to prevent the debate from collapsing into personal attack. Pair scripts with micro-pauses and breath anchors to ensure the voice remains steady. Maintain a small library of scripts for common scenarios, interruptions, hostile questions, tactical errors, and rotate practice weekly. Effective scripts reduce conflict duration, preserve relationships, and keep focus on solving the problem rather than scoring rhetorical points. Chapter 16. Decision. Triage, prioritizing under time. Constrained decision triage is an explicit prioritization method for environments where options multiply and time dwindles. The triage uses three axes, impact, reversibility, and information cost, to rank options quickly. Assign each candidate action a score, high, medium, low, on each axis. Then prioritize actions with high impact, high reversibility, and low information cost because they offer fast learning with limited downside. For example, choosing between a full-scale rollout and a staged pilot. The pilot typically scores high on reversibility and low on information cost, while offering meaningful impact, so it wins. Use a one-page triage sheet to make the scoring fast and visible. Triage accelerates decision velocity because it replaces gut cycling with a simple rubric. To practice, run tabletop exercises where teams apply triage to simulated crises and compare outcomes over multiple runs. The goal is to habituate triage thinking so that under stress you apply a reliable, transparent rubric rather than oscillate between extremes. Chapter 17. Authority without arrogance. Lead calmly when stakes are high. Exercising authority under pressure requires balancing decisiveness with humility. The practice begins with visible grounding behaviors, clear posture, moderated tone, concise statements that signal control. Equally important is procedural humility. Invite a short, structured dissent window where a single dissenting voice can air critical data without derailing the group. Combine steady leadership with a rapid iteration norm, decide, test, and adapt, so authority becomes a mechanism to reduce paralysis rather than to impose brittle plans. Communicate decisions with the logic that produced them and the data you will collect next. Transparency increases buy-in and reduces covert resistance. Leadership under pressure is not about charisma, it is about creating reliable processes for rapid learning and showing that decisions are both accountable and revisable. Chapter 18. Social support. Protocols. Use your network. Intentionally. Social support protocols make support explicit and operational. Identify two categories: technical support, who provides facts or skills, and emotional support, who provides perspective and steadiness. Predefine short requests for each, a 10-minute fact check for technical help, and a 5-minute calm call for emotional regulation. Keep a compact Rolodex of names with the preferred micro-request phrases and the best time windows to contact them. During pressure, deploy the appropriate protocol quickly rather than improvising. Social support protocols reduce isolation, increase information flow, and normalize help-seeking as a strategic lever rather than a sign of weakness. Chapter 19. Ethical resilience. Preserve integrity under pressure. Ethical resilience means maintaining core principles when expediency tempts compromise. Build ethical guardrails in two ways: pre-specify non-negotiable boundaries and design rapid accountability channels. Non-negotiables are short statements, no deception in reporting, no cutting safety corners that apply even when shortcuts seem attractive. Rapid accountability channels are simple: a named ethics contact, a short reporting form, and a pre-agreed remedial path. When pressured, test options against the non-negotiables. If an action violates a boundary, eliminate it and find an alternative that preserves integrity while solving the problem. Ethical resilience preserves reputation and avoids long-term costs that often dwarf short-term gains. Chapter 20. Practice under pressure. Simulate the heat to build habit. The final competency is to practice under pressure intentionally. Build simulations that recreate key stressors and run them frequently with structured debriefs. Simulations should be short, 15 to 45 minutes, varied, and designed to trigger specific failure modes: information overload, surprising data, hostile interlocutors. Use observers to capture behavioral metrics and run immediate micro-reviews, focusing on one improvement for the next run. Regular simulated exposure trains physiological and cognitive systems to perform under real threat, because habituation reduces novelty. Over time, the brain stops treating pressure as an existential threat and treats it as a familiar environment where practiced skills execute reliably. Conclusion: from panic to preparedness, a compact playbook for outperforming pressure. Outperforming under pressure is not talent. It is a set of disciplined habits, rituals, and small institutional designs you can build deliberately. The pathway is practical. Develop short physiological resets, build micro-competence rituals, use tight decision rules and triage, rehearse tactical frames and scripts, and normalize rapid pilots and ethical guardrails. Practice these moves in low-stakes settings and simulate heat frequently so the system automates. The result is not stress elimination but stress translation, converting the energy of pressure into controlled focus, faster learning, and accountable action.